And do I need to press the record thing here, or does it automatically go? Already going. Okay, good deal. And I'm already sharing my screen. So I think I'm ready to go. So this is Drupal Upgrades at DrupalCamp, Colorado 2022. I'm here in person. I can't believe it. It's been a battle. So a little bit of introduction and logistics. The session was described for us in the session in Hoppen. And one disclaimer I want to start out with is that this is not going to be a technical session on migration. There's lots and lots of those out there, but I hope to be able to get us some good tools to be able to do Drupal upgrades for folks. My opinions and my perspective as a small Drupal shop since 2007, that's what I'm really presenting here. Not best practices necessarily, and it's just from my experience. So what I hope to really accomplish with the group, and let me just pause for the cause here for a second. I still can't see my speaker notes properly, but that's okay. So first of all, we're going to provide you with some tools and some resources for Drupal upgrade projects. We're going to provide you some strategies for project evaluation, recommendations, and approaches for Drupal upgrades. And what I really want to accomplish is to have some ongoing conversation in a channel on Drupal Slack, which is pound Drupal-upgrades. And I have a copy of the slides out there already with my speaker notes on them. So this is a little bit about me. I started working with Drupal quite a while ago in 2007 or so, and been doing projects with that since then. I focus just on Drupal. I have been involved quite a lot with the Fox Valley Drupal user group out in St. Charles, Illinois, far west suburbs of Chicago. And it's been really great because I've met so many people and learned so many things and have the opportunity to keep learning with everyone. So you can find me in these different places. My company's Nat2 Community, and I love Drupal. I love working with Drupal. A little bit of story, a little backstory of recently what I've been dealing with. Last year in March, we had a feral cat adopt us. She had kittens under our deck. We caught them. We got them in. We got them neutered. We were going to release the mom back to the wild, and we adopted the kittens out. And they're all doing very well. Fika is the one that's the mom. She further adopted us and moved in with us in January this year. And just recently, about 2 weeks ago, she must have fallen and caught her tail and got a tail pull, and now has all kinds of problems with her bladder. So she's at the vet right now. So it's kind of like, were we going to even make it here? We didn't know. So that's what we've been dealing with the last couple of weeks. So I might be a little rough on this presentation. I finished my slides just shortly ago, but you know, hey, no excuses, right? So let's find out a little bit about our audience, and maybe you can put things into chat. Why are you here? Why are you watching this presentation right now? How many of you, I guess raise of hands or whatever, have lost Drupal upgrade projects to competitors or to other platforms? I certainly have. That's why I'm working on this little task here, to learn as much as I can about doing it the right way as well as I possibly can. How many of you have had bad upgrade experiences with Drupal? Yeah, I got to admit, I've had those. And I don't want to have any more. So that's the whole reason behind this. So why focus on Drupal upgrades? Well, first of all, the numbers are kind of a little bit all over the place. This is my research that I've gotten from the last 3 months of really kind of looking at this hard. I'm estimating that there's probably about 60% of the existing Drupal sites out there that are still in old versions of Drupal, including some Drupal 8 sites. Now, why is that? Drupal 8's end of life. They should have moved already. I don't know why. Not sure why that's not happening. Some of the research that I did, there's no way to get really good data, so I figured I wasn't going to really bore everybody with all that information that's not based on good data. Drupal tracks the Drupal project and all contributed projects, but it's getting all of the reporting sites. So it's even including dev sites and that type of thing. So you need to be aware of that when you look at modules and what's out there, and how people are using these things. Hopefully we'll get better data, but right now it's all whacked. Whether you're looking at built with or WC3 or Google Trends or any of that, the general trend though is that Drupal usage is going down, and that all these sites that are out there that are still old Drupal sites that aren't moving any farther forward, we need to try and do something about those as a community. Adam Bergstein did a really good presentation on a lot of market research on Drupal and CMS packages in general, and there's a link in the chat, or not in the chat, in that slide deck that I put out on the Drupal Slack Drupal upgrades channel. So you go in there and take a look, and you'll see that if you want to take a look. This is kind of my summary, the summary of my research. We're losing Drupal installations. We're losing Drupal talent. Some people are going to other things. 60% of those sites are older sites. PHP commonly community is losing out to some of the, I think, newer, shinier tech that's out there right now. And I think that's kind of my summation of what the research tells me. Totally unscientific. These are my opinions. Why does Drupal lose? Why do we lose projects, or why do we have adoption that's not moving forward from Drupal 7 on? I think there's a lot of lack of support. There's a lot of orphan clients out there. We as a company take on a lot of orphan clients to help them out when they've been kind of left to the wayside out there. Installations have gone bad. Either they're old, they haven't been updated, or the people who are working with them have moved on. The support from funders and organizations are going away, or not paying attention to the Drupal site, and it's kind of languishing. So there's that could be happening. They could be having lack of support. Certainly, the Drupal 7 modules are not really being maintained much by the Drupal community as much as they were in the past. They're still there. They're still being maintained. They're still supported by security. Will be through November 2023. But hopefully we can get these older installations moved forward. Champion turnover is another thing. I've had clients that we had main people that were there at a client site, and all of a sudden they've gone somewhere else, and now there's competing people coming in, and they're moving it to a different platform or whatever. Or in some cases, it's kind of hard, right? It's difficult to upgrade Drupal 7 projects to a Drupal 9 project, especially if it's a really complicated site. And in some cases, I think maybe we just give up, which we should not be doing. So why let go of these Drupal installations? Why let this happen? I don't think we should. It's a lot. It takes far less resources to keep a client than it does to go out and develop a new one. That's just a fact. So let's not do that anymore. So who's with me? Shall we do this? Yes. Yes. Why can Drupal win? And Drupal can win. We've been getting some really great new projects going in the Drupal community. There's a lot of great things going on. We've got now new themes, both the default theme, Olivero, and Claro, the administrative theme, are out now. Those are very strong and very nice. We've got much improved editor experiences that can be tailored and done really well right now. And it's going to be even better when Drupal 10 comes out with CK Editor 5. So that'll be great. Drupal's always been an API first, which means we can plug and play things without having to worry about things crashing if things are done right, which is really, really important. Security support is also really, really important. And we need to get that message out there to a lot of people that maybe haven't been thinking about that as much as they should when they go to less secure type platforms. Site building, configuration management, and Contrib is moving forward, and you can do so much without even touching any kind of custom code. There's a lot of really compelling new Contrib out there, things like ECK, Event Condition Action. Jürgen Haas and his team are putting that together. That looks really awesome. You should look at that. The schema.org blueprints module that Jacob Rockowitz is doing. That's awesome. Really, really great stuff. And it's going to, those things are going to only get better. There's tons and tons of other ones that are out there as well. I'm probably forgetting a whole bunch of those. Don't forget about all the exciting new core strategic strategic initiatives that we've got going on. The easy out of the box really helped us a lot with giving us a great bunch of tools to be able to leverage from a demonstration front with Amami, along with a whole bunch of other things that came along with it, along with the initial work on Olivero theme. Automated updates, project browser, the distributions and recipes thing, taking distributions, modernizing those things, making them pluggable type components that can be updated and maintained and move forward. Those are some really, really exciting things, and I'm involved in a couple of those, and I hope to be able to spend more time. Unfortunately, we're a really small shop. I don't have a lot of support from the standpoint of being able to go and do things without working on projects. They've got to make a living. But also we've got the Drupal community, and this is why I'm coming to the Drupal community and saying, hey, let's get this Drupal upgrades conversation going more. We've got a lot of support out there in the migrations channel. That's really great for that detailed stuff. But let's get this Drupal upgrade stuff going so that we can move forward as a more collaborative effort. We, I think, are a co-opetition type environment. Got a lot of shops out there that are out there sometimes chasing the same projects, but in a friendly way. We're all wanting Drupal to win, and I think we all help each other doing that. So what are our options for these D7 sites? From my perspective, I'm going to stay with Drupal 9, going from Drupal 9 to Drupal 10 and taking all these older Drupal installations and moving them forward to Drupal 10, Drupal, the latest Drupal, this latest supported stuff. And so I'm going to be pushing for, of course, Drupal 7 to go to Drupal 9 right now, and we're prepping to go to Drupal 10 when it's out and available, whichever works the best for the client. They've got the option to keep it the same and lock it away and deploy it as a static site, or they could use long-term support through 2025. So they've got these options for right now. We've also got the option to upgrade to Backdrop. Backdrop is getting really strong, and it's got a lot of great tools to do that migration. There's a lot of ways to take a D7 site, move it to Drupal or move it to Backdrop without quite the level of effort it takes from going from a Drupal 7 site to a Drupal 9 site. Or they could migrate and rebuild in WordPress. That would be my least favorite, but at least they're still then open source, right? And of course, there's other options out there as well. There's all those shiny new things that they could go and rebuild things into. And I think there's some validity for some sites doing that. Not everybody needs Drupal, but if you don't do Drupal or you don't do Backdrop, I believe that you're limiting yourself for future. You're not going to be able to scale when you need to do something more advanced without going through that rebuilding process again anyway. So what's the best upgrade options as far as a project approach is concerned? I believe that one of the biggest challenges we've got with Drupal upgrades from 7 to 9 especially is the amount of discovering, planning it takes to be able to really define that project well enough so you won't get burnt, so the client won't be expecting something that they're not going to get. You've got to really do your homework if you're going to stay safe from a business standpoint, so you don't lose money and so that you get the delivery of what people are looking for. You really do need to collaborate on the proposed approach, and I'm talking about collaborating with not just the project person that's leading the project at a client, but also site managers at the client site, other people that are involved as stakeholders, and also members of your team across the board. You've got to have a cross section to be able to do that. And you've got to prepare for that upgrade. We've got a really nice benefit right now because the D7 end of life has been extended out for another year into 2023. Now's a great time to be working on getting these sites prepared to really do a good, solid migration and really do a good, solid rebuild into the next version. And then, of course, you've got to install and migrate once you're ready to go and go live with all those top priority features and functionality that a project is looking to do. And then you've got to maintain and support that after that happens. And then you've got to build out new and improved features after that. Don't let those sites get stale. A lot of these old D7 sites got stale, I think. Selling the upgrade. So how many people are comfortable with in a selling mode, in a selling process? As if people are in a technical environment, a lot of times you don't have that sales experience or that comfort level. So I'm going to talk a little bit about getting yourself prepared for that. There's a good session that was done at DrupalCamp Portland for that that I've got in the slide deck. Prospecting is going to be really easy. That's a real advantage from a marketing standpoint. You don't have to go out and prospect too hard to find Drupal 7 sites. They're all over the place. The key thing about being comfortable when you're not a sales type person or a business development type person is to be a consultant, be a recommender, be a resource, so that you're not feeling yourself like a salesperson. You're not feeling yourself like a business developer that's trying to close a project and make it move forward, which we all kind of want to do, right? But we don't want to have that comfort level shaken if we're not used to doing that. The four things in my mind through my years of doing business development work is in developing a new project with a client or with an organization, you have to be able to relate to those people and understand what their needs are. You've got to get them comfortable with working with you. If they're not comfortable with working with you, then you're not going to move forward. You've got to do a deep discovery to do the fine work of coming back with a set of collaboration with the client to be able to come up with the right project approach for these things. And then you've got to continue to support that through the whole entire thing. Your project managers and your business development people all need to have a good hand in this. And in many cases, your technical lead has to have a hand in this as well. Have it be a collaborative type approach. And what I'm telling people that I'm working with is I'm not trying to sell you an upgrade, but I do want to sell you what your options are, or show you what your options are. And the only way for me to do that safely for you and safely for me as a solutions provider is to do the work that it takes to do that. And if you're just asking me for, just make the site the same as it is now, but in the new version, well, guess what? That's the wrong answer. You're not going to make it work for you, and you might as well just do a brochure site in a WordPress or something like that, right? You've got to partner with the client, and you've got to get collaborative buy-in across the board to be able to make projects happen. And you'll find that your business development process goes a lot smoother. We've also got to think about getting creative sometimes. We want to be able to collaborate with other service providers. So me, in my case, I'm a really small shop. We got 2 of us that work as employees, and the rest of the 6-7 people that we work with on delivering projects are all consultants. They're all contractors. The other thing that I find after having been in business development work for many years is that you want to stay away from RFPs. The only way that you want to take on an RFP is if they can actually pass your go, no-go test. In other words, you've got a methodology to determine who it's worth doing an RFP response for, because otherwise you're just wasting your time. So personally, I got really sick of that working with city county government for 12 years before I started doing this. Putting those RFPs together was real onerous. And we had that nice go, no-go test, which allowed us the ability to be able to decide, do we really want to go after this one or do we not? And essentially, if you're not plugged in to know about that project before it comes out, you're probably not going to win. Somebody else is there. I guarantee you. If you're not the one, you're climbing a steep hill up. So there's a good link on that too from Portland DrupalCon in the slides. So I wanted to highlight that. Okay, now to some of the meat of this, and I'm going to have to look at my slide up here because I did not copy those into my notes. So these are some of the modules that I'm recommending our team use as we're going through a process of evaluating and doing that site review process. And obviously, if you're going to go through this and you've got agreement with the client to be able to pay you money to do this little bit, you're going to want to do a good job of it. And this is the best way to do it, I think. Why not get paid for that deep discovery? You sure should. You're a consultant. You're spending a lot of good time on doing that. But these are some of the modules that I'm recommending right now to go through. There are some others. And I would love it if some people could put some things in the chat that extend this list out. I'd really appreciate that. Upgrade status and backdrop upgrade status are 2 that are really good things to know about. There's a little issue with upgrade status right now on Drupal 7. When you pick it to Drupal 9, there's actually not a good report that comes out, even with a patch that's on an issue out there. So it's not really set up. It comes up and says Drupal 8. So you've got to take the time to look through that list and go through and see if that module is really ready for Drupal 9. Most of them are now, so it's actually a pretty good tool still to be able to do that. The backdrop upgrade status is a really interesting one. I haven't done a backdrop migration yet, and I haven't touched it for about a year, but I started to look at that as a solid option because I've got a couple of contractors that I think will do a really great job on those. But that tool does the same kind of thing that upgrade status does for backdrop. Also, security review, and particularly if it's an orphan client that you just brought on, also the hacked module are two good ones to use to be able to take a look at if there's any skeletons in the closet out there. And trust me, they're there, whether you think they're there or not. But even on our projects, at times you'll have a patch in there that got overlooked and didn't get put back into the main module. So you've got to watch out for that. One note too is, as I forgot to mention, this is a list of things that you don't put onto the live site. This is not going to go any farther than your evaluation site, that you get a copy of the current live site and make a branch that's just this stuff, right? And it never goes into main or production. So just wanted to make a little highlight of that one. Site audit is a really good one that works with Drush. And that is similar. I believe that's the one, if I recall, and I'm going from memory on this. I didn't get my sites or my list together because of my little kitty cat Fika. Fika, by the way, is coffee break in Swedish, and she kind of looks like coffee, so that makes sense. Okay, I digress. So site audit is very similar if you're familiar with the tools on Pantheon to do a site review on Pantheon. It's basically using that set of tools to do that kind of thing. So it's a really good module, and you don't have to have it on Pantheon to do that. Migration audit report is also a real good one. I haven't dug real deep into that, but they'll give you a good idea of what the migration level of effort might take if you use it properly. Module checker is a quick little short thing to check what modules are out there, and if there's any that are not really being used and they're just kind of there, or old or out of date or whatever, you're going to want to get rid of all those things, of course. And that, along with the unused modules module, which we've used before, does a little bit more in-depth job of that. So the module checker is a real quick and dirty little tool that you can put out there to do a quick check if you want to do that. Content audit, you want to be able to look at your content because that's probably full of landmines as well, particularly if you've got PHP filter on, for instance, that last one at the bottom, and which is gone now in Drupal 9, right? You've got to add additional functionality to be able to do that from contrib, because it's not very safe, and you don't really want people throwing stuff like that in there. But content audit helps you get through and figure out what content can you do away with, or what content do you need to be worried about that won't migrate well. File checker kind of does that for files. A lot of files are just kind of mentioned, but they're not there. And so that's a big one that we've used as well as the PHP Finder. So that helps you find some of that crazy stuff out there. So the next part that you're going to want to do, if you're going to move forward with the project, after you've come up with, this is what it's going to take, hey, are we ready to go? The next thing you're going to want to do is clean up all the loose ends in the existing site. Anything that makes sense that you don't need, strip it out of there, get rid of it. If it's not going to migrate well, I think, and this is kind of my my approach that I've got in mind right now for how to rework how we're doing some of these. We'll do that cleanup of those loose ends first before we even start in on the migrate process. We've got the extra time. So why not be working on that and spread the work out? A lot of it's going to take the client work as well. And you've got to match the work that they're going to do with the work that you're going to be doing and timing it all out. Prepare a copy of that source site and then prepare a fresh D9 install that will be your target. So your source will be a copy of what the old site is, and the target's going to be where it's going to go. Plan to make ... I should have put in there iterations, changes, modifications, because you might as well find them and fix them before you go through your migration. If you do that, you should be able to set up and use the migrate UI tools more rather than less. And why not do an automated process like that builds out all those Drush migrate files and migrate tools? Why not do that rather than go through that process of custom migration? It's going to be less onerous on the client. Now, this is all talking about the migration part and some of the content stuff. The other side of this whole thing, though, is that theme, because you're going to have to rebuild your theme. Are you going to do a redesign? Are you going to do some re-architecting? What are you going to do with all the back end on all that? That's not included in this list of things. Those are all going to be one-offs for clients, for projects. I have seen some things from folks that have talked about, like ImageX had one, I think, that was migrating 80 sites. I haven't really looked at that, but my guess is that maybe that was all the YMCA, the Y distribution. And if you've got everything that's all the same, yeah, you could probably run through and do a whole bunch of them the same way, but most of ours are one-offs. I don't know what everybody else finds, but that's what we deal with. So you've got to keep that in mind and go forward to that. So that's really kind of the nuts and bolts of what I had to present. These were our objectives. I hope I hit them. And I hope I've given you some tools, particularly from the sales side and the identification side and the evaluation side of things that are a little different than what we've seen out there. We've got, like I say, all the breadth of migration things. I hope I've given you some of those tools, and I really do want to have collaboration going on in the Drupal Slack because I think we can all help each other. So with that, I guess we'll open it up for Q&A, whatever anyone might have. I haven't been looking at any of that, by the way. So are there any Q&A things that people have or comments? Leslie?
Yeah, just can you share any tips that you have about estimating these upgrades based on all the things that you've done that you share with us about all the things you use to evaluate?
The best thing that you can do is take the time to do that estimation. And if you're doing that preparation properly, what I found, you're getting your good list as you go through that, and you're getting a set of recommendations. I would not estimate off of that, though, because when you get to the point where you know what all that looks like and you've got your report, hopefully you're going to do a presentation of that report with the client team, and you're going to walk through what they think. You're going to have some options there about how you would recommend they build their upgrade projects, right? So that's a collaboration rather than you telling them, here's your proposal. If I have somebody that's saying, give me a proposal, and it's like, just make it the same as the site, but I want to add these two things. Come on, right? It's not going to work. I don't buy it.
Yeah, I was just wondering if, you're running through all these modules, you're going through discovery and all that.
Yeah.
Is there anything that gives you a clue that, oh man, I've got to double or I've got to really increase what I'm doing based on your history of doing things?
Yeah, it just going through that task list though, as you're getting that list of items and knocking down the things that you're going to do. I'm going to use this module. That module I know is going to take me X amount to do the certain config on that, and and maintain it. And I can do these three pieces all together. So that kind of gets you your task list. You're putting that together at the same time. I would personally much rather spend my time doing that for free in a recommended set of things that I'm going to go down through the list with the client. I'd much rather do that than respond to an RFP.
I posted in the chat, but one giant curveball, you touched on it a little bit, is the type of content that people embed in body fields. That, I mean, I've spent, days and weeks of people's migration budget handling content, because as soon as you have to start like manipulating content, it gets really expensive really quick.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like taking all your notes and putting them into your slides. It takes forever. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to get this done, right? But yeah, I don't know if you put the question in the chat, so I think people saw it, right?
I put it in there as more or less like I got you, like
it is
kind of along one. A lot of the tools you list, I think are great tools to evaluate your D7 site. The next thing I do is I bring up a database tool and start combing through the body field for what kind of hidden gems that clients or that the previous site had embedded. Because
there's always a ton of them.
Yeah, there's always some crazy stuff, and figuring out how widespread something is as well. There's not really great tools out there for that besides just querying the database.
Right. And the other thing
if there are 5 iframes that are embedded, like, okay, I'll just tell the client what nodes those are in. Like, hey, you might need to go manually fix that.
Right.
But if it's 20,000 embedded images, like, you have to come up with a programmatic way to solve that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you know about it in the upfront, you can plan for it. But if you don't, it's really difficult. You pretty much have to. You're spot on with being able to identify those things first, those embedded pieces that are not going to fly. You might also want to look at identifying that as assumptions and in an assumptions. And by the way, we're not going to take care of these. That'll be on you guys. So that's fair. They know their content. You don't necessarily know their content.
You think they know their content?
Well, if they're subject matter experts, they should know their content. Yes. That's right. But yeah. So, any others? Then I guess we're done. I hope to see everybody in the Drupal Upgrades channel throwing questions and answers and ideas out, because I am going to follow up with this by taking and posting some, I don't know, what do you call them when we put the numbers in the async meetings, right? So I'm going to throw out an async meeting in there for the next week to kind of kick off a conversation in different areas to see if we can get some feedback for just those kinds of things that we've talked about here that are the gotchas. How do we handle those?
Right.
Yeah. Cool.